hello, and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Joining me, you know him, you love him. It's Esfandiar Baraheni.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Hope all is well. Cathryn,
Yes.
how was post concert
Yes.
Hangover?
So,
Did you get lit? Did you?
I had a total of 3 drinks.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
Had a little
I mean,
buzz.
I can hold my alcohol.
Yeah,
So that's
you're right.
But I do feel hungover in that, like, I was jumping up and down so much that my body is a little sore.
The post concert exhaustion.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah. So, I spoke about this a few months ago on the podcast that I spent far too much money on a Janet Jackson concert ticket. I was filled with regret, financial regret. I was trying to sell this ticket for months. It did not happen. I finally accepted my fate. I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine, Daniel, and he was like, when you're old and gray, you're not going to be thinking about the money.
Not even remotely.
You're going to think about the experience. And I was like, oh, you're so right. So then I took it off sale, decided to go, got my hair done, really, really went for it. And it was
shout out to your friend Daniel. Me and him, we live by the same code.
Yeah.
I vibe with that.
I'll let him know you said that. He for sure does not listen to this podcast. But he's like, we should go to a hockey game sometime. And I'm like, okay, sure. But
okay, anyway. Maybe I don't live by the same code, Daniel.
But close in some ways. Yeah. But yeah, so I had the time of my life. It was absolutely amazing. Did the meet and greet again. They took the photos, so I'm gonna get it in like a week or so from now. But yeah, I was like screaming and just like, when I came home, I just drank like tons of water so I'd have my voice again. So
I love it.
Yeah. It was really fun.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Nelly opened for her. Rapper Nelly.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm not like a huge Nelly fan, but like I truly forgot how many hits that guy has.
Oh yeah.
Like there's so many.
Like a moment would not be doing justice to what Nelly was in that time, like,
yeah,
I think he had 4 or 5 years where not even 4 or 5 years, maybe like 2 or 3 years where he was on like Drake level,
yes.
And then obviously it petered off and it didn't turn out to be Drake level type stuff. But for 2 or 3 years, it was like you put Nelly on something and it was an instant hit,
You couldn't escape it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
He even has a country song that's pretty good. Did he perform the country song?
That's right.
Who did he do it with? Is it Gavin McGraw?
That's right. No, I don't think he did. But he did a lot of his hits. And,
yeah, I'm sure he did like Hot in Here. Did he do?
Of course.
Wait, okay. One of my low key favorite Nelly songs is "Stepped on My J's." Does he perform that? I doubt he does.
Stepped on my J's.
They just came out. Need stepped on my J's. Hey, stepped on my J's. No, okay, all right, cool.
I don't think so.
He gets his.
Well, he did that. He did the Air Force One song.
Nice. Hell yeah. Yeah, and the grill song.
Yes. He did that too.
In the music video, he gets his J's run over by a guy who's wearing a Larry Bird jersey. And I think it's a call out to do the right thing, I think.
Oh, that's very
the scene,
possible.
Right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just that's always like in my brain. Stepped on my J's. Hey, stepped on my J's.
Oh my God, I love that. He was really good live. He sounded great.
Nice.
Would recommend.
Okay.
And it was like a real flashback. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that song. Oh yeah, I remember that song. Like it was very that. Yeah.
That's a very interesting blend of artists, like Nelly and Janet Jackson. I wouldn't like. I never knew those. Like they do Venn diagrams for these things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I would never assume that one would cross, but I guess maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I mean, Ashanti would have made more sense.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
But
and then have Nelly come out.
Yeah. That would have been. Yeah, but we make the most.
It is what it is. I'm glad you enjoyed your time. I'm going to a much different concert in a couple of weeks. Schoolboy Q. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
Really? No. Damn. Well.
Look, I'm clearly in like a diva lane. You know what I mean?
Your
Like,
Venn diagram does
I'm
not
not
include
pretending to
Schoolboy
be
Q.
like cool, like I'm very invested in like Celine Dion's health journey right now. Like that's
Oh my God, my wife told me about that. That's nuts.
yeah, like this is kind of where I'm at. So I'm
Yeah.
not.
Well,
You can feel
Schoolboy,
free to send me some songs though. I'm always
nah.
happy to discover
I'm
music.
sure you've heard a couple of songs. I'm sure you've heard the song Collard Greens. Oh, 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 collard greens. 3 degrees will make a half of me. No? Okay, anyways.
You do the auto-tune voice pretty well though.
Thank you very much. It's because of a lot of practice with auto-tune. But
Oh my God, that was great.
So he is like an affiliate of Kendrick Lamar's. So like they used to all be in one group, Top Dog Entertainment, and now they kind of have ventured off and doing their own things. But yes, Schoolboy, that's what I'm going to a couple months from now, or a couple weeks from now. Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you so much. I will let you know if it's just as good as Janet Jackson. Unlikely, though. Unlikely.
Very unlikely, but I hope you get to like jump up and down a bunch.
Yeah. Get the exhaustion level. I hear you.
Yeah.
I went to again, probably another artist that you don't know, but Vince Staples. I went to a Vince Staples concert.
I have heard of him.
There you go. And I didn't realize how much of a mosh pit it was going to be. So I didn't pay for coat check. And so I was just in the middle of my mosh pit in winter in like a full, kind of like jacket, like a puffer jacket. And I was just boiling. I was sweating and getting pushed around, and I'd had enough. Oh, no. Yeah, it wasn't fun.
I went to, I promise everyone this is a basketball podcast.
Absolutely. We will eventually. Look, it's July, folks.
Yeah, it's July, I went to there's this really amazing singer named Jessie Ware. Do you know her?
No.
She's British. She's like a R&B dance singer. Cool. She's incredible. Highly recommend. And I went to her concert in the fall, and it was literally like going to like a gay club. Like it was like almost all gay men. Okay. Which is like fine. That's clearly my vibe. Sure. Yeah. But it was like, you know what I mean? Like they're wearing like leather straps and stuff. Like nice. It was nice. And then there was just like me. And it was like, like late October, November. And I was just like, and it was a Monday too. Like clearly everyone had taken the next day off of work. Like they were treating it like it was like a clubbing party night, and I was treating it like it was a Monday concert. Yeah. And it was just, it was fun, but it was different for sure.
Mina has started listening to an artist recently that she like it loves. I forgot what her name is, but she sings like a Pink Pony song. Does that ring a bell at all to you? Anyway,
but I would check that out.
Shit. Now hold on. Let me do the quick Google search here. Pink Pony Club. Yeah, Pink Pony Club. But where is
the basketball?
I know. Okay, Chapel Rowan. That's her name. Search it up. That's a recommendation for you. Okay, I feel like given what you have described your music taste to be, I'll throw a recommendation back.
Yeah. We should trade.
Why not?
And your wife.
Hey, I'll listen to was it Jessie Ware? You said Jessie Ware?
Jessie Ware.
I'll give it a listen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay. Basketball.
9 minutes in, let's do some basketball. Let's.
Oh my God. Well, I hope people enjoy our banter for sure.
Absolutely.
But anyway, look, a lot's happened this week, especially with free agency. I mean, we got to talk about, the end of the Splash Brothers, Klay Thompson moving to the Dallas Mavericks. I was not super surprised by the move. It seemed pretty obvious the weeks leading up to this that he was going to leave Golden State, right? Like he removed his Golden State posts from his Instagram and like all these different things. And I was just like, man, there's a melodramatic quality to Klay Thompson that that I really do enjoy. I don't know if I'd enjoy it as his girlfriend, but I do enjoy it as a fan. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot about, Klay Thompson being, not being treated right by the front office. I mean, let's start there. Like, they paid Jordan Poole. They paid Andrew Wiggins. They paid Draymond Green. And then they decided they weren't going to pay Klay Thompson. And I could see why he would be
pissed off.
By why he would be pissed off about that. That seems pretty evident. I mean, especially considering they didn't even keep Jordan Poole. They didn't discipline Draymond enough when they needed to. We all know how that's unfolded.
Mm-hmm.
And Draymond on his podcast was like, I'm sad. I'm pissed off. I don't quite know. Not pissed off with Klay, just in general. And like, I don't, I'm still processing this emotionally. And it's like, but when are you going to process your role in it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to know. When are you going to process your role in this?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're punching people, but then like Klay Thompson's getting, asked to come off the bench. And I could see from his perspective why he's like, this is ridiculous. Also, like, he wasn't even the only player struggling last year. He absolutely was struggling last year. I mean, Andrew Wiggins has struggled for the last 2 seasons, and he wasn't asked to come off the bench. So it's just like, I totally see how all of that resentment over time would just lead up to him leaving. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling here.
I you know what I like in this too? Have you ever had a shitty roommate?
Oh, yes.
And like you've been forced to deal with them for, whatever, years or months or whatever it is. But like you can't kind of get away from that roommate, right? Because they live with you, right? Mm-hmm. And so even if that roommate decides to do something nice for you or decides to be considerate, it kind of all goes out the window because you don't like that roommate, Mm-hmm. And so the smallest issue that you have with them, the smallest little wrinkle, whatever it might be, it blows into something that's way bigger than it is because you don't like that person. And so I think over time, that's what happened with Klay and the Warriors, in the sense where they had this great amicable relationship, winning championships, all that stuff. But as things kind of, I guess, blew up, it became every little thing. Okay, you got to come off the bench. That pisses me off. Okay, Draymond is suspended, but that doesn't matter. That pisses me off. Like it just starts to build into something to the point where the relationship is irreparable and you can't look at your roommate anymore the same way that you did when you first signed on your lease or whatever, And I think that's just what it is. Like I've been there before, roommates, where it's like, man, I did not expect this person to live this way, and I think probably Klay feels a certain way about that too. Like you go about your business, but at the same time, you got to prioritize what you're trying to do. Also, like Klay isn't the guy he was before. That's fair. Achilles injury, ACL injury. Like it's understandable to not be the same player that you were before. I think a fresh start is good because now if Dallas eventually asks him to come off the bench, that same animosity isn't there. That same like pent up, what about the 5 championships or 4 championships that he won, all that type of stuff. None of that residual is there anymore. It's just, hey, this is a basketball move. We would like to bring you off of the bench. And maybe that ends up happening in Dallas and it works perfectly fine. But it wouldn't have worked in Golden State because of the history, because of how much, everything has happened over the last 10 plus years,
Yeah, well, I think all that's a great point. And like I had a roommate for a really long time who I really, we got along for quite a few years. And then
eventually you didn't, right?
And then eventually we didn't. And that analogy hits home. But I think Klay Thompson, like I completely agree with you. I think he's gonna have a great year in Dallas.
Yeah,
I really do, because even though like, he isn't the same player he was, but I really feel like a lot of the struggles he had last season were because he was holding on to this animosity.
Yeah.
And I will say this, and I am a huge Klay Thompson fan. I don't like the fact that he couldn't let it go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, the things I love about him are like, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's super genuine and all of that. But it's like, when you're letting it affect your game to that degree, you have to find some kind of separation. Right. And I just feel like, he's not that guy, and maybe he's not the most, mature person. I'm not sure. But I just feel like now that he is giving himself this fresh start, I really think he's going to kill it. And I think because he's won 4 championships, I think it's hard for him to be motivated if he knows he doesn't have a real shot at it. And I also think that's why he was struggling. And I also think, I look back at that Sacramento Kings game, the play-in game that they all, it was a complete awful blowout and he was like 0 for 10 and everything. I just feel like they didn't show up to that game because they were just like, what is the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just hard when you've won so much, like, been to the final so many years, etc., to show up for a play-in game all these years later with the same kind of gusto. So I think that's why, it's obviously why he didn't go to the Lakers, right? And I think it's going to be a really good fit for him. And like you said, if he comes off the bench, I think he'll embrace it more because he's like, well, at least we're winning.
Yeah.
And we're playing for something.
And I think, man, the interesting thing with Golden State and just generally like the fall of these dynasties is that they're never amicable. They're not like pretty endings. Rarely do you get the Michael Jordan game winner at the end, send off. They won 6 titles. We're all retiring type of thing, like that rarely happens,
Well, and they didn't all retire.
And there was still a lot of animosity afterwards, right?
Yes. So it was like, Michael Jordan did his thing to make it a storybook ending for him, but then like Scotty Pippen.
Scotty
Pippen. Oh, is this a Raptors podcast? Anyway, yeah. Scottie Pippen ends up going to Portland, if I recall. And, Steve Kerr goes to the Spurs, like they have to blow it up. So it wasn't a storybook ending for everybody.
Yeah, just for that guy. And it just to your point, like none of these ever end up being like we're all gonna ride off into the sunset together type of thing. It just rarely happens where that works that way. And I think, you look at Draymond and Steph were the last standing soldiers of this sort of Warriors dynasty. I don't know what they do after this too. I know they've made some additions here and there. They added Buddy Hield and DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Anderson. It's like cool that they'll be a decent team. They'll probably win like 45 games or whatever. But I mean, how long are they going to do that before it just, Steph is getting way up there in age. I think he's going to be 37 next year.
Yeah.
Draymond is up there in age. I think he's 35 or 36. Like at some point, something has to happen. There has to be an end to this all. And it looks, as we get further and further away from it, that 2022 championship feels like it was the storybook ending, right? That was
in a lot of ways it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it seems like we're just looking at the fallout of everything that's happening.
I'm glad you mentioned, what Golden State is going to do now, because one thing I really want to talk about is Andrew Wiggins. Because, so first of all, he was going to play for Team Canada. Then they pulled him out. They were like, no, he's not going to play for Team Canada. And then Rowan Barrett came out and was like, this was not Andrew Wiggins' decision. This was the Golden State Warriors' decision. And why they made it now is really curious. And in addition to that, it was reported that the Chicago Bulls tried to trade Zach LaVine to the Warriors for Andrew Wiggins and Chris Paul. Right? This is before the free agency deadline.
Yep.
I can't believe they didn't make that deal.
I can't believe it still hasn't happened. I mean, obviously Chris Paul is gone now, but there are other ways to get it done.
Like that deal would have been such a win-win for both teams. I'm very convinced of this, right? Because you're losing Klay, but at least Zach LaVine is going to bring you a lot of offense. And it's not like Klay Thompson was the strongest defender anyway.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, and Zach LaVine, like he can play off the ball. He can run. Like, maybe he hasn't played off the ball as much in the past, but I don't think it's like completely beyond his scope to do that. And then, you don't have to worry about that part. Now you fill in some of the, role player gaps to help you defensively. Like maybe you trade a Kevon Looney for somebody who's, faster and strong defensively or something like that. And then you just start to fill in the gaps and it all works out. Like, or at least you are close to where you were before. You're not like taking a huge step back. And then on the Bulls side of things, you imagine like you let Chris Paul go. right? Now you've got 30 mil in cap space, right? Andrew Wiggins, if he gets a fresh start there, he's closer to home, which feels like it might be important for him.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, if he gets off to a good start, then suddenly he could become a mid-season trade asset. You know,
Well,
all these different things. Like, it was just like, to me, I can't believe that deal didn't go through. I'm truly shocked by it.
I'm not surprised because it's the Bulls. And the Bulls just really, I don't know. You can describe it in so many different ways: inept, inadequate.
But I think this was a really fair offer, like for Zach LaVine. Like that is, it's not.
I'm with you. I
don't know what the Warriors are doing. Like you're saying he can't play in the Olympics, and we're all assuming that's because you want to trade him, and then you have an amazing trade offer, which, like, frankly, like I don't think you're going to get a better player than Zach LaVine for Andrew Wiggins. Like you're just not.
Yeah.
And then they don't trade him. And then there's all this stuff about him, you know, having personal issues, right? Which I very much respect. I was reading an Athletic article that talked about an on and off ankle injury, but I mean, he still played a lot of games last year.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like something else is going on. And I don't know what that is, but it just feels like something. There's just something very off about the whole situation. And there's something going on with Andrew Wiggins that I do want to respect his privacy, but I do want to get to the bottom of it to some degree because they're being protective of him in a way that I think is very unique and unusual.
Yeah, I had seen reports that he had a death in the family also, so that could be part of some of the privacy stuff and maybe keeping it private. And for what it's worth, like kudos to the Warriors for doing that. And it's been 2 years now of that, but I don't know if that is enough of a reason to hold him out of Team Canada camp. The real reason is the trade type stuff that you were talking about. And obviously that didn't work out. And so now you're wondering, okay, why isn't he back at camp if none of that stuff worked out? I think he eventually will get traded, though. I think they've sort of made up their mind that they are going to trade him this summer. Just for what? I have no idea. Maybe they're looking, there was a report that they're looking at Lauri Markkanen. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah.
Well, why on earth would the Jazz do that trade?
They just, the Warriors would send 1,000,001 picks and then just.
Do they have 1,000,001 picks?
They have 5. Yes, 5.
Oh, okay. Well, I know they want Lauri Markkanen, which I think he'd be a great fit on the team. But I just look, I agree. I don't see a path towards Golden State winning another championship with Steph and Draymond. Like
it's really hard. Yeah,
and it sucks for them to I don't want to say waste their time, but it is a waste of Steph Curry's career to have a quote unquote like gap year. Like I was like Bill Simmons was talking about Golden State taking another gap year, and it's like the man's going to turn 37 next year. And the thing is they already kind of they blew it up and rebuilt it once, which was extremely impressive. Like it's unprecedented how they were
and it turned into a championship.
Yeah, like it's unprecedented how they were able to do that. I don't see a world where they can do that again.
Yeah, I agree
with Steph.
And you know what? The interesting aspect to that is like, what would they have to do? Because like, look at the Western Conference. You have OKC, who looks better, more revamped. Minnesota is still going to be good. Obviously Denver, even despite losing KCP, is still going to be good. Who am I missing here? I feel like I'm missing Dallas, who made the NBA Finals, just added Klay Thompson. Like getting to that level in the West, I think there's a pretty big gap between those 4 and any other team in the Western Conference. And so if you're the Lakers, if you're the Suns, if you're the Warriors, who have like older guys, objectively older players trying to win, it just seems hard. It just seems unfeasible. And besides that, the whole cap restriction stuff, the new CBA and apron, it makes it so that these older guys are the most expensive players in the NBA. And so it makes it impossible to add to them and add pieces or role players or whatever to help them out anymore. It feels like they're just on a treadmill of being the 5th seed, the 6th seed, the 7th seed. Oh yeah, the Clippers now after losing Paul George are also in this category where it's like you're sort of stuck in this treadmill for the next couple of years until you guys retire, because there's no real avenue for LeBron and the Lakers to win a championship, or these guys, the Warriors that we're talking about, the Suns, even with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, even though there's tons of talent, it's like that's a pretty flawed roster.
Those 4 teams, right? Like the Warriors, like you said, the Suns, great point. The Lakers, the Clippers, they just seem trapped.
Yeah.
They just seem trapped. And I don't see a path for any of those 4 teams. It's like, it's truly like just tune in and watch them while you still can and appreciate their greatness for what it is at this point. We should move on and talk about Paul George, I feel.
Sure.
Or do you have more to say about the Warriors?
No, let's do it. Let's talk PG.
I think this is another situation. It's so similar to the Warriors where it's like you paid Kawhi and you're not going to pay Paul George. This is insanity to me.
Yeah. And like, they already were a very expensive team. Steve Ballmer paid over nearly $400 million in just luxury tax money, not just salary cap. Like, on top of the hundreds of millions of dollars in salary cap he pays every year, he paid over $400 million through the last 5 seasons in luxury tax bills. Right. And that's like a drop in the bucket for him, who's, I don't know.
For Mr. Microsoft. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what his net worth is, but it's much, much more than that. And so this was the whole cap apron thing was made to stop guys like him from spending, which sure, you did your thing, but it's not like there was any avenue for them to replace Paul George and be just as good. Adding in the fact that they're moving into a new arena in Paul George's, I believe, hometown. I can't remember exactly where they're playing this, but
oh yeah, he is a hometown guy. Yeah.
Right. So opening it up, new arena, and you're removing Paul George. Yes, you're still going to have Kawhi. Yes, you're going to have James Harden. Yes, they added a couple of role players. They'll probably be like a 6 seed, 5 seed, whatever. But your championship window is done. Like that is finished. And, you know, they've had in the 5 seasons that Kawhi and PG have played together, they've won 3 playoff series. 3.
Say it.
Kawhi in his 1 year with the Raptors won more playoff series than Kawhi and PG did in 5 seasons. Now, for what it's worth, the injuries, yes, of course, they got hurt pretty much every step of the way. But man, it's an objective failure this last 5 years with the Clippers. It's objectively a failure. It doesn't even come close to being, hey, well, we did this. We got to a conference finals run. Nope. You spent over $1 billion over the last 5 years, and all you have is a conference finals run to show for it. It's tough. Yeah.
I think Kawhi back in 2019 should have taken those plastic Shoppers Drug Mart bags that he took to the Bahamas or whatever and brought them right back to Toronto and stayed at least for 1 more year. He would have been better off here for many reasons. One, I'm convinced for life we would have won in 2020 if we had Kawhi. I'm very convinced. You can't talk me out of that.
Would have had Raptors versus Lakers, which would have been a lot of fun.
Against LeBron.
Yeah, against LeBron. Yeah,
we needed this.
That would have been.
We needed this Kawhi. Yeah, I mean, look, and then I think the next year it would have fallen apart a bit between the Tampa thing, but also losing, Gasol and Serge Ibaka. I mean, and even if they stayed, they were never the same again. So it would have been worse if they did. But like, there would have been so much to continue to build around and have another chance. And also Toronto, both the organization and the fan base didn't seem to mind the load management part of all of this.
No,
we seem to just understand, like, yeah, this guy is like super talented, but he's super injury prone. Let's, do everything we can to keep him healthy for when it matters most. Like, nobody really complained about that the way they did in LA.
It's true.
And, for all of those reasons, right? Like, we also, Alex McKechnie, one of the best, sports doctors. I forgot what his actual title is. Athletic trainers.
Very nice
You know,
watch. That's all I know for Alex McKechnie.
ooh,
It's a
very
very nice watch.
nice.
It just it
You know,
radiates. You know,
he's one of the best, and probably in the world. I just he would have been better off here for so many reasons. And I understand he wanted to go back to LA. I
yeah. Go
understand
back
LA
home.
has
Yeah.
perfect weather, blah blah blah. But man, it
Mhm.
really sucks that
Yeah.
he didn't just freaking stay.
No, I know. I know.
But it is
Yeah.
what it is. And the whole
But now Raptors fans have that, right? Where it's like
we have that chip.
we not only have that, we have the 2019
Bargaining
chip.
chip, that's what I meant, not championship.
Oh yeah, well both, both. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, we have the chip, but we also have the hey, we know where we stand if he were to stay. We know what the situation would have been. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
think
I
there's a
mean, I
level
know
of
it's
confidence now where it's like, okay,
yeah.
this you didn't go home to the Clippers and win 5 more championships, right? This was objectively a better situation for you. You opted out for that to go home. Cool, all good, no problem. But still, it's yeah,
Yeah,
it is what it is,
and I'm very aware that everything I'm saying is in hindsight, of course,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I'm not saying like they should have known in
Yeah.
that moment that a whole pandemic would have happened.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, like Paul George leaving, yeah, it's a big deal for the Clippers. It's all gonna crumble. I don't know who is gonna be. Is it gonna be Harden? Like Kawhi Leonard and James Harden being like the face of this new arena and all that. I mean, I will say from the Philadelphia 76ers side, huge winners. Huge
Massive.
winners.
Yeah,
This
massive.
is everything they needed.
Yeah.
And this is going to be so good for them. Also, too, very low key. I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. I don't have it in front of me. They also signed Andre Drummond
Yes, they did.
for
Yeah.
a very, not a lot of money.
Mhm.
And I actually think that is going to be really big for them. And not because Andre Drummond is like, who he was or anything like that, but they need a center that can hold the fort for
When he's
5 to 10 minutes a game.
yeah. And
Right?
also
So Embiid can actually rest.
in the 15 to 20 games that Embiid will miss, right? Cuz
Absolutely.
I think it's got to the point where Embiid should not run for MVP. Like he should not want to win and get to 65 games and be eligible.
Sure.
Like Kawhi, I think it should get to the point where it's like, hey, Embiid, man, you're playing 60 games, 55 games a year. We're going to plan it out. You're not playing any back-to-backs. You're not playing on the third night and 4 nights or whatever. Your third game in 4 nights. You're not playing in any of those games, but you're going to play 60 games. You're going to be in good shape. And in the postseason, we're going to cook. And hopefully Paul George stays healthy because like another aspect of that whole Clippers thing is not only Kawhi not staying healthy, Paul George was not able to stay healthy at all either. And so I think that's an aspect. Like for the Sixers, it's just, can they stay healthy? And it's weird because whatever, we said that 5 years in a row for the Clippers, it is now attached to the Sixers. And the Sixers aren't like, I don't want to say they're like the Clippers in the sense that they feel cursed sometimes, but the Sixers do sometimes feel cursed in the sense that they haven't got back to the conference finals in 20 years, right? They have been knocking on the door for years. They have this perennial talent in Joel who, for his own faults or not, whatever, keeps getting injured in the postseason. They have this star in Tyrese Maxey. They now have Paul George. Like they've built the perfect team. They are ready to win a championship, but also health. And like that's the biggest factor when it comes to that team. So maybe they just need 1 year. The Raptors showed it, right? That they just needed 1 year. I can agree to that kind of sentiment, but at the same time, I love the team. I still have questions, especially because there's still Boston out there. There's still New York out there. Orlando got better. Cleveland still has Donovan Mitchell. Like it's just Milwaukee, obviously, with Giannis and Dame. Indiana went to the conference finals. It's gotten tougher to get out of the East. And so, yes, the Sixers have gotten better, but also they're in a harder conference now compared to last season.
Well, the top of the East got better.
Yeah.
But the bottom of the East got worse.
Yeah, still the same old. Yeah.
So it's like the regular season, there's gonna be a lot of like, we'll win these ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which will be interesting how that affects, the bracket when the time comes. But
yeah,
I agree. It is all gonna come down to the health. But if they can be healthy for the playoffs,
very good team.
They're going to be a team to reckon with, and I'm excited to see it for sure. I think they're huge winners in this offseason for sure.
And Paul George is like at this point in his career, in LA, he was being asked to be like a number 2A option, 2B option next to James Harden. In Philly, he is the third option.
Yeah.
And I think he'll look really, really good as a third option. He's one of the best off-ball players in the league. Just comes down to health.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, for time's sake here, what do you think happens with DeMar DeRozan? Where does he go? What are we doing?
I don't know, man. I'm seeing Twitter do its thing right now. People say Sacramento. Some people say Miami.
Oh, I haven't heard the Sacramento rumors. Interesting.
Yeah, I really, DeMar is one of those guys where like you kind of need to build your offense around him. So if he's starting, he's going to affect your team a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's no knock on him. He's just like a very specific type of player where he doesn't shoot a lot of 3-point shots. He needs the ball in his hands. And so like your offense kind of gets centered around a guy like that. I don't like the fit in Miami. I think that would be wonky with him and Jimmy.
I agree.
That just doesn't make sense.
I was so puzzled when I first heard that.
Yeah. Even I just like for a lot of these teams, if he's starting, I don't see the vision. If the next iteration of DeMar being on a really good team that's vying for a championship is him as this like sixth man coming off the bench, change up scoring guard who can give you like 15 points a night. He wins 6th man of the year. Like that's the next version of DeMar, but he's not at that stage of his career yet. Like he can still give you 24, 5 and 5 on any given night. I just don't know if Miami needs that or Sacramento needs that or LA needs that. Maybe the Clippers might be an interesting team to think of. The
Clippers could use it. Yeah, I mean, part of me doesn't dislike the fit with him on LA if they can make that work.
Yeah.
Although I think LeBron is like, screwed, I'm signing a max whatever deal at this point. But the reason why I say that is because LeBron doesn't mind being a passer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they could do really interesting, creative things with their offense with DeMar DeRozan. And I think like, like I said, like LeBron is like not a ball hog by any stretch. And if they get rid of D'Angelo Russell and, some stuff like that, then like now I feel like, okay, like that gets interesting for me.
Yeah. And DeMar is the type of guy who can win you games in the regular season that LeBron isn't playing in. So
absolutely,
like you can get LeBron to rest against, I don't know, Detroit, right? And DeMar is just going to send you home and get you that win. And so now you got a night off for LeBron. And so like from that perspective, it works, right?
It works. I want him on the Lakers.
It would be a great story. It would be a great story.
I want this because he's a hometown kid.
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to help them win. He's going to finally get the media recognition he deserves.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I want it. I don't care. I want it. All right. I've decided. Okay. I don't really want to talk about Bronny James. I'm not going to lie. Whatever. There's too much.
We don't have to. It's your choice.
There's too much dialogue around the whole nepotism thing. It's not the first time. Okay. Like Thanasis has a roster spot. Yep. It is what it is. He has a rookie minimum. He's going to play for their G League team. It's like, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. That's also, like nepotism exists not just in basketball or sports. It
literally
exists
everywhere.
You could a superstore, I don't know, owned by your uncle, you get hired, whatever. I don't know, I'm just making up an idea. But like your industry, writing, also
Oh
nepotism,
God, so much.
it exists everywhere. So to act like it's some kind of privileged thing for Bronny to be part of it, no, it's
Yeah, it's like
there's
every company.
Bronny's privileged in life, not just because of this whole nepotism thing. Like, let's be real. But
Yeah, I know a girl who works at FedEx, and she got that job because of her dad.
there you go. There you go. There you go.
And it's not like management.
Yeah. It's working at FedEx. I got my first job at Value Village because my aunt worked at Value Village.
Oh my God.
Nepotism.
You're a Nepo baby.
I'm a Nepo baby to the death. I got my second job at the movie theater because my best friend's sister was the manager at the movie theater. Nepo baby. I'm a Nepo baby till I die. Yeah. Movie theaters and Value Village, baby. Yeah. Me and Bronny James. Yeah. Me and Bronny James. Oh my God.
My first writer's room, I was the only person there that didn't go to private school.
Wow. That's wild. That's
crazy. I was the
crazy.
only one who didn't go to private school.
Also crazy to consider, the types of writers that whatever show that required, because it's like if you were in private school and you're writing about, I don't know, anything, it changes you. In private school, definitely changes your perspective on a lot of different things. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
So just interesting. I would love to hear what the show was for, but another day.
Another day.
Yes.
Let's talk about some Raptors news. There's definitely a few things. Okay, let's start with Immanuel Quickly. He has signed a 5-year, $175 million contract.
A lot of moolah. Yeah.
So congrats to him.
Big time. Yeah.
Feel free to, say hi to me sometime.
Buy me dinner.
Take me shopping in Yorkville for no reason. Pay my rent, whatever.
Sure.
And, okay, look, I'm not good at wrapping my head around this kind of money. So
I got you. No worries.
Yeah, unlike some Nepo babies here on the podcast today.
Wow.
Mr. Value Village Cineplex.
Yes.
How do you feel about this signing? Do you think this was a good signing?
Look, it looks like a lot of money, folks. It is a lot of money for anybody. $175 million is a lot of moolah. Eventually, though, in the next couple of years, that will look almost inconsequential compared to, one, how good Immanuel Quickly eventually will be, and two, how the salary cap increases so that his percentage of the cap decreases. And so you're looking at a player who will likely be your starting point guard for the next couple of years at about 20 to 25% of the cap, which is very, very fair. If everybody who's listening to this pod, if you expect Immanuel Quickly to be good, if you expect him to be a starter level basketball player in the National Basketball Association, you should be more than comfortable letting him get that much money. Okay, but if you're like completely out on Quickly and you're like, this guy is not good, he's not going to be good on the Raptors, et cetera, then I would understand someone being like, okay, that's an overpay.
Well, how do you feel?
I believe in the guy. And I think for what they have paid him, I think he has some tangible things he needs to improve on. The finishing, the pick and roll craft, all that type of stuff. And I think eventually he will get better at that, just like Fred got better at that, just like Pascal got better once he got his max extension. I just think dudes who work very hard tend to get better. And Immanuel Quickly, even at 24, 25 years old, will continue to get better. And so he's entering his prime in the next couple of seasons. This will be his prime paycheck. And hey, if he gets better than this, like if he ends up becoming a multi-time All-Star, then you're more than comfortable paying him this, right? I think it just depends on how you evaluate him. And I think he will be worth that money in the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel I'm with you, and I generally feel excited for the Raptors to have a direction and a new core and kind of like a building plan, right? I hope he lives up to said potential. I think he will. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to be a multiple time all-star.
It's hard. Very, very hard.
Especially at the guard position. Like, it just feels like, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. But
even
that doesn't mean he won't be an that doesn't mean he won't be an all-star level player, right? Like Jamal Murray hasn't been an all-star. It's like insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that part I feel really excited about. I feel good about them, just committing, just the committing in general. Also, too, like, it's going to be good to see him and Scottie together, with RJ, without Scottie like breaking his hand and missing the rest of the season. You know what I mean? Like, they just haven't had a ton of time together. Like, they've only had a few weeks.
They looked great in the 3 games that they played together.
Yeah, like literally, they really did. So it's like, I'm really excited to see that grow next year. So yeah, I feel good about it also. Okay, other Raptors related news. There's an update on this lawsuit with the Knicks, and that is a New York judge decided that so to recap, the Raptors were accused of hiring, a former Knicks personnel who stole, quote, hundreds of confidential documents.
Yep.
And brought them with him to Toronto. And basically a New York judge decided that all of this falls within the jurisdiction of the NBA itself.
They said, handle your shit.
Yes.
They should,
and it is up to Adam Silver to deal with it.
Yeah.
I can't believe the New York Knicks wasted American tax dollars to determine this. That is God. Wild to me.
Wait, so you're telling me you can't believe that a multi-billion-dollar corporation you wasted American tax dollars in order to settle a itty-bitty dispute? Have you not watched
they don't even pay tax. They don't even pay taxes somehow.
They don't even. They got a write-off. They probably, the whole thing was free for them.
I pay more taxes than a billionaire.
You're probably right.
Immanuel Quickly, help me pay my taxes.
Immanuel Quickly probably pays more taxes than some of these guys,
I mean, I would hope so. I hope Immanuel Quickly pays more taxes than me. I don't care. I don't care about the screw these guys. Screw them all going to Texas because they have no state taxes. It's so dumb. What are your roads like? Is it just gravel? Like, what are your roads like? What are the roads like in Texas?
I don't know.
Just dirt and gravel.
I want to go see. But also,
come on.
I heard recently that this whole no state tax thing is kind of a lie. Okay. So, yes, in Texas and in Florida and a couple of other states, there is no state income tax, but players get paid by the game. So it depends on where the game is being played that you get paid. So yes, obviously Klay Thompson Klay Thompson going to Dallas, obviously that helps. He's playing 41 games in Dallas, right? It's going to give him a little bit.
How does that work in Canada? Like, so they all get paid less when they come here?
Yes, they pay less when they
That's crazy. That can't be no.
Yeah, I swear that's apparently what it is. I heard it the other day.
But they still get paid in American dollars.
Yes,
even when they're
do.
Here.
And they also have to pay some sort of traveler's tax in California or something. I forgot what the exact thing is. A jock tax. A jock tax? Some shit. I can't remember.
Just for being a jock?
Yeah. Well, no, it was because it came up.
I mean, I'm a liberal, but that's going a step too far.
It was
charging people for being a jock.
It was Michael Jordan in the 90s would go around to places and gamble and win a shit ton of money. And so they didn't know how to declare that money. And so there would be and they incorporated a jock tax afterwards saying like, hey, whenever you enter these states, you have to automatically pay this money. I can't remember how it works. I'm sorry, guys. I'm like a half-ass reporter with this situation right now, but I do know
No, I
that
mean, this
that
is
you get
like,
paid. Yeah, you
this
get
is
paid
like,
per game by whatever state you are. So, like Florida, going to Florida,
whoa.
obviously, no state income tax. Playing in Miami or Orlando or whatever, you get that. Yeah,
This
sure.
is why Fred VanVleet wanted to play in Tampa.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I bet that's why everybody on the Raptors was, well, except probably Pascal, was very down to play in Tampa because, yeah, it helped a lot.
Yeah, because I was like, this logistically does not make sense. They would have been better off in like the New York, New Jersey area, or
Yeah.
maybe even like Connecticut or something, where like so many teams would have been in driving distance, and you wouldn't have to fly as much.
God, that was a shit show of a year. I'm just thinking about that. That was
What
wild.
a
That like,
disaster. It was an utter disaster, but it led us
yeah,
to Scotty Barnes. But
it
that
did.
was the
It did.
only, that was really the, the light at the end of that tunnel, right?
Big
But
time. Yeah.
it was an absolute abject disaster. Absolutely. Um, Another sort of like, kind of sad update, just to, for the sake of updating people. Jontay Porter has been charged with a felony in the United States connected to the betting scandal. And he is expected to plead guilty to that charge on July 10th. It just keeps getting worse for this guy.
Yeah.
It says that he has admitted to a gambling addiction that got out of hand, and he is apparently seeking help for that, which good for him. It's like, I am starting to feel bad for this guy.
Well, it is certainly piling on. That is definitely true.
Yeah, I agree he should be banned from the league. It is, I think that is a deserving punishment. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be like charged or whatever, because I mean, the law's the law. But man, I'm really starting to feel bad for this guy. I really think he just got mixed up with the wrong people, and it all just got out of hand. It feels like a movie, to be honest.
I can't wait until we're
Uncut
in the
Gems
document.
director should do this movie.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny. One of my first ever like script ideas was to do this for a ref, like to basically
Oh,
do
like,
this
what's his
exact same story
name?
for a ref. Donahue.
Yeah.
But basically do exactly what this story is, but for a ref. And I just think there's like a fascinating underworld to the whole betting side of things that people don't necessarily notice or hear about, especially because it took a while for a lot of states to legalize betting.
Yep.
I believe certain states still haven't legalized betting. And so there's like these underground networks that have been created already, pre this kind of opening of the gates type of thing. And so, yeah, it created the framework for Jontay to be able to exploit and take advantage of. And then once the floodgates kind of opened with the betting stuff, it became more pronounced. And on Jontay's side of things, I just can't wait till we get asked to be on a Netflix doc. Like, that'd be very cool.
Buddy.
Sit in a really dark room, or like, and you get the light flashed on you, right? They do the whole expose type of thing. It'd be cool. It'd be cool.
And I don't want them to steal my YouTube content, because they've done that.
Have they? Really?
Yeah. So there was a Netflix documentary about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, and they just like ripped all this stuff off of YouTube from people who were like, talking about it.
Yeah.
And none of them got paid anything.
What? I would be
or
livid.
even asked to appear in it.
Nuts. I would be.
I guess it's just like some social media loophole.
Yeah.
Where like you just didn't they didn't own the content.
Damn.
It was like wild.
That is wild.
Because it was like a significant part of that documentary.
Yeah, of
it was
course,
like these YouTube clips. It wasn't just like a quick cutaway at the beginning or something.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we should be in a doc. I should write this script.
You should.
I should pitch this. I could pitch it as a book and a script, actually.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, I feel inspired now. Okay, with that, let's move on to our Hottie highlight of the week. I'm not gonna lie, for all the basketball news this week, there was a lot of hard news this week. Not a lot. It was a slow news week when it came to Hottie highlights.
The hotties. I hear you.
Okay, the Hottie highlights, everyone's negotiating contracts. They're stressed. They're not showing off their bikini bodies or anything of
Not a lot of
sort.
opportunity to be hottie.
Yeah, not a lot. So with that being said, I have found 2 Hottie highlights, Team Canada inspired. We've got Jamal Murray sweeping the court during practice, okay, doing his part, not being, too good to whatever. He's like, I know I'm the star, but hand me that broom. I'm going to do this.
Get down and dirty. I like
Getting down and dirty, hard worker. And then we have, in our latest of Canadian players, you're either a Raptor or a Canadian basketball player. You can and will get an endorsement. The latest is Lou Dort, who, I was anticipating weeks ago would have something on the cover of the En Route Air Canada magazine, which I found at my local Starbucks.
Oh, your local Starbucks.
I found it at my local Starbucks, and it was free to take, but I just took a photo of the cover to show you. So we've got Lou Dort, the latest to enter the world of possible. I don't even know if it's an endorsement by Air Canada or if he's just a cover boy.
Cover athlete, yeah.
But, or is it Jamal Murray sweeping up the sweat of future medalists?
I'm going to lean towards Lou Gonts. I think Lou Jonts. Is it Lou Jonts? I think it's Lou Jonts.
I actually don't. I'm not sure.
Who knows? We call him Lou. Lou Dort. Yes, I think Lou is the guy I would pick, just because you got to be a hottie to be in a cover. To
be a cover boy. I agree. It's Air Canada. It's on.
Hell yeah.
They could have picked Jamal Murray. They could have picked anybody.
I hope. I'm not going to be flying anytime soon, but it would be so cool if he's doing the instructions on an Air Canada flight. It's like, yeah, please, the mask comes down and make sure to do it for yourself before your baby.
Good. They should do that with the whole team.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be awesome.
See, more people need to hire us. You know what I mean?
I don't know why they don't.
We just got ideas on ideas here.
I know. We are ideation.com. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, isn't that an actual job to ideate? Isn't that a job?
I would be great at that. I'm just going to say I'd be really good at that.
I think we would both kill it in the ideation world.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Us, a laptop, a whiteboard.
And just ideas flowing.
Comfy chairs.
Yeah, big time.
Some coffees.
Yep.
I prefer an iced latte.
Maybe some Janet in the background, speakers. There you go. Look at you.
Forget it. I think before we started recording, you told me that Team Canada was listening to Janet.
Yes.
And I really just I lit up, like my cheeks were rosier.
I know. You're going to be mad at me though, because we were all kind of listening to it and we're like, which Janet song is this? We didn't know exactly.
You couldn't Shazam it?
It was too educate
muffled. Yourself.
It was too muffled to be like, hey Shazam, what song is this? And Trey Lyles is walking up to you. You're like, I can't. There's too many things happening all at once.
But I mean, that's fair. Look, I can listen to 2 to 3 seconds of a Janet song and I know exactly what it is.
Good for you. Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Me and my wife actually play that game sometimes where we're like, when you know the words to this song, sing along, and then you got to sing along to the song. And then
that's fun. I enjoy that too. All right, let's wrap it up there. What do you got going on this summer? I know you're covering Team Canada a bunch. Let us know what we can look forward to.
Yeah, just on Twitter, I will be following and covering Team Canada for Forbes. Maybe doing some stuff. Maybe doing some stuff for Raptors Republic. Yes, sir. Doing CBL as always. So sideline reporting, analyst stuff for them. And then in August, I am off. I'm vacationing for a couple weeks. I'm going to relax. I'm going to write. I'm going to do some stuff. And then hopefully in September, a job will magically appear. So we'll see what happens.
Hell yeah. Wait, when do the Olympics actually start?
end of this month. I think like July.
Oh yeah, July 26th.
There you go.
So, okay, here's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to do an episode next week. I'm
Okay.
going to see, just as a programming note, I'm going to see what the news cycle is like, because I don't want to do an episode just as like filler. Like, I want things that are current to talk about. So I'll see what the next week is like, but I did promise that I would continue this podcast throughout the summer because there's the Olympics and all of that good stuff. So
Cool.
TBD on that. But thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to your Olympic coverage because I'm not, again, between the WNBA and the NBA, it's just hard to follow like
I hear you.
a third thing. But I'm looking forward to catching up on all of it, and I've never been more excited for Canadian basketball than I am right now.
Yeah,
I should have picked up the en route. I just took a photo of it.
You should have grabbed it. Yeah.
Oh no, it was Starbucks. It looked a little touched.
Right.
It looked a little handled. But it looked, that means people liked it. That means people
looked at Lou.
People were interested.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you everyone for listening and tuning in. Much appreciated. If you're watching this on YouTube, give it a like. I'm trying to get better at saying all that good stuff. Yeah. And thank you again, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.